folks. Um, so we continue on our journey of figuring out how to garden and take care of a home disabled. And I wanted to share that I received something I was very excited about. I spent a lot of money on it, and it is a dud design-wise and like just not beyond design, also construction-wise. So I'm going to show you what it is and tell you why it looks good but isn't. And you may decide differently. Of course, you can buy whatever you want um, if you have $50 or so. So what I'm going to do is share it on the screen. And here we go. Okay, so this is the product. This is called the Earthwise 50,002 Gator Grabber. It is telescoping. That means that um, these bits here, the handles, are going to be different lengths depending on how you set them up. Um, something I missed in the design that is a flaw, but that I was also a flaw by me for missing it, is that there's no actual handle here. This is not a one piece, you can use one hand to grab something that's 4 feet below you. It's not like that at all. You do have to have two hands available to do the grabbing. So I would say it's not really grabbing at that point. It's a different thing that's happening. But the hands, if you will, of it that are at the bottom are a pretty good size. They're about the size that you would probably imagine they are now that I've received mine. Um, but I will say that there are a few real serious design flaws with this, and given the very high star rating, which is a little bit bogus because I just gave it a 1-star review somewhere yesterday, so this is not up to date. But notice that there's only 7 ratings. Okay, so that becomes important here. Um, Usually we get excited when we see such a high star rating because most Americans overrate things. And so you can see something that's at a 4.2 where people are actually saying how terrible it is. But this is $50. So like this is not a cheap tool, okay? These are metal. You would expect them to operate well. It comes in 3 pieces though. It comes with this bottom part put together for you already, but then you have to put on this and this. And I'm sorry it keeps like magnifying it. That's super annoying. But so it has the handles off it. The problem with this is several fold. One is that when they go over that bottom part and cover that up, there is, a punched out piece of metal that makes a hole so that you can put a screw in there that they provide for you. But the problem is that when they punched it out, they did it badly. And so the punch goes through, it's not flush. Okay. So it kind of protrudes out, and the part at the top is very tight. And so it wants to go over this, but it cannot because that protrusion is there. So that's one of the flaws. Another is that it is so tight set up that trying to put it on will scrape the paint off. And there's no way around that. It does it on both sides. It's just a problem. Number 3 design flaw is that when you're trying to put these on, you telescope it. It telescopes on its own, but you don't know why. And it's not totally clear, even though it does have instructions, but they don't really correspond with reality a lot of times. You don't know when you have telescoping ability and when you don't. And because each of these is individual, and because it doesn't telescope from this part, but rather from these top parts, then what ends up happening is that you will never really have an ergonomically sound product to work with because you're going to always be like a 1/4 inch off of this side versus this side, etc. And they're quite stiff. So when you are trying to push them or pull them, I had to smash mine into a rug on my floor and put the fullness of my body weight onto it in order to push it back down. So that's not the kind of thing that is good for a disabled person to have to do. You'll also notice that it's 4 pounds. It's like a solid 4 pounds. I would say that it is more than 4 pounds because it is the same weight as a small, as like a 13-inch weed eater that I recently bought. So that is just a little bit over 4 pounds. And with a weed eater, the balancing is different and the weight is different the way that you're using it. But with this, you're really carrying it around, like you're having to sort of Frankenstein movement the situation. So I'm gonna not recommend this. I don't think it's the right kind of product for the market segment that they're really after and who would pay, those of us who would pay this much for a good tool. I'm not a person for gadgets much, but I have discovered in the past couple of months that really, things like leaf blowers that are completely ridiculous and unnecessary consumer products in a planet that has, I don't know, wind. Um, uh, that for disabled people who have humongous sycamore trees, for example, we might need a leaf blower at some point. I'm opting not to get a leaf blower because I can't find one that is light enough and that has good enough reviews in terms of movement and ergonomics. And since I can't lift things very much, it actually helps me to have leaves kind of biodegrading all over my yard so that when I need to make a new teeny tiny planter that's, the tiny weight that I can lift, putting those leaves in at the bottom for about half the box before I fill it with soil is a really big help. So but anyway, I did want to let you know about this Earthwise one. I do buy a lot through Walmart at this point because um, most other providers are just not very good about returns, very much including Amazon. I try not to use Amazon for human rights purposes and because you vote with your dollars more than you vote any other way. And so to me, you don't get to complain about human rights or poverty if you're going to pay the oligarch and pay for his yacht. So that's on you if you do that. But Walmart is amazingly better with human rights than Amazon is, but also as a disabled person, I need to work with a company that is very easy to work with on returns and that if I need to call them, they understand what it means to be a disabled person, and Walmart really does. Now, I'm not going to say they do anything about it for their employees because they really don't mostly. But with customers, if you say you're a disabled person, they will help you. And probably the person you're talking to at Walmart is disabled themselves because Walmart really doesn't take care of their employees very well. And the employees at Walmart have a very disability aware culture, um, because they're on their feet all day and they understand the difficulties of that. So anyway, I hope this is helpful to somebody, saves you $50 and a return somewhere. And if you have a better choice, please let me know. What I would really like is something approximately this big, but that would allow me to do things one-handed. Because my leaves are so large, I mean, my leaves can easily be the size of a laptop computer. I need something that's not like this big. I have to have something that's larger. And because my hands can't operate very much or very often, I can't just be going like this like 50 million times in a yard. I need it to like actually get something done if I'm going to pay for something. So, but I cannot bend over really at all at this point. So this kind of tool would be really helpful. So anyway, happy doing whatever you're going to do with the $50 now. And we will update with other things in the Messy Homestead very soon. Thanks for popping in.